Well, it was supposed to be a quiet Tuesday as the Browns get ready for the Steelers, the only day they are practicing today. But of course, nothing is ever quiet here. And Mary Kay, we start with something that happened after Sunday's game, or towards the end of Sunday's game, when a fan threw a plastic water bottle at Jimmy Haslam as he walked into the home locker room tunnel following Garrett Wilson's go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter. Now, the fan has been identified. The fan will be banned from the stadium, and things are in the hands of the Cleveland police as we speak.
That's right, and that is such a shame. I mean, booing is one thing, but throwing a bottle, and at the owner, no less. Not a very smart individual, but again, the person has been apprehended and will be banned from the stadium. And, let's hope that nothing like that happens going forward. And fortunately, no one got hurt.
And yeah, Ashley, look, frustrations were boiling over, rightfully so. Fans were upset, rightfully so. But as we all know, there has to be a line that you just can't cross.
Right, and I think being in Cleveland, we all know how quickly these things can spiral, right? One person starts throwing things can very quickly snowball into 25 or over 2,000 people throwing things. So it's understandable, like you said, Dan. There is a line. They have to carry out a certain punishment so that more people are not willing to cross that line.
Now, on the football field, we heard from Nick Chubb for the first time since Sunday. And Mary Kay, he admitted that he probably should have not scored on that touchdown just before the 2-minute warning. There was actually 1:55 left on the clock, and he admitted he should not have scored there and allowed the Browns to run out the clock. So more and more people are sort of realizing this. But again, it doesn't excuse the defense for giving up those 14 points in the final 2 minutes.
It certainly does not do that. But I was actually very shocked that Nick took the fall for that. I really don't think that it should be up to a running back to understand clock management at the end of a game. There are certain things you should know, certain things that you shouldn't. And I think that's one where it would have had to have been relayed to him through the headset to Jacoby Brissett. Do not score there. I think Nick is taking on a little too much there.
And Ashley, I thought it was also interesting that he admitted he probably could have stopped, because he was asked how hard would it have been to stop? And he admitted it would have been difficult, but he probably could have done it.
Yeah, you rewatch that play, and it's not like we always talk about that Chargers game last year, right, where the Browns pushed a guy into the end zone so that he couldn't go down and forced him to score. So Nick wasn't in that situation, but I agree with Mary Kay. I think it's understandable. I think Nick is a stand-up guy, why he's going to take the blame there. But Kevin Stefanski also basically took the blame yesterday, and I do think that's where it should fall, is on the coaching staff, because like Mary Kay said, the people who should be concerned with those time management decisions are the people making the decisions on the sideline.
Today was all about accountability. Amari Cooper talked about that onside kick and how he didn't do what he was supposed to do, either falling on the football or batting it out of bounds. And Ashley, you mentioned Kevin Stefanski. He sort of heard about that and then kind of put it all back on himself. But Mary Kay, it felt like a day of accountability, I guess, here in Berea.
Yeah, which I thought was really, really good. You had 3 guys that came to the podium today and admitted things that they did wrong in the game. You had Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah talking about giving up a touchdown. You had Amari Cooper talking about not recovering the onside kick, and then Nick with the touchdown there at the end. And I thought that was really good. You had guys, there was no finger pointing. They were owning their mistakes. Kevin Stefanski has done the same thing, and that's how you get this thing turned around.
Yeah, Ashley, it's how you move on from whatever happened on Sunday.
Yeah, and that was kind of JOK's message. I asked him about that touchdown that ended the first half to Breece Hall, and he just basically said, yeah, it was my fault. They don't really want to go into too many details at this point, and especially on a short week, that's kind of understandable, right? Like Jacoby Brissett said, he wasn't even going to have time to go back and rewatch that game in full because they have to turn around and play again 2 days from now.
And of course, look, it was supposed to be sort of an easy day, right? But tons of news here on the only day the Browns are practicing. Perrion Winfrey was in the locker room today. We had an opportunity to talk to him. He did not play, a healthy scratch on Sunday for disciplinary reasons, Mary Kay. He would not disclose what it was that led to it. I felt a little up and down about what he said. I thought he sort of owned it, sort of didn't, but at the very least he said this is a moment that he can learn from and mature from.
Yeah, I think for the most part he handled his press conference pretty well in the locker room, and he did own that he did something wrong. He seemed a little uncertain about the discipline itself, but I think for the most part he has learned from it. He was also wearing a little bit of a shoulder harness. They need all hands on deck with some of the injuries that they have. but he does expect to be active on Thursday night. He expects to play. He seems to have learned.
And Ashley, look, he only played 5 snaps in the opener, but he did bat down a pass.
Yeah, and I asked him about that. Does he think he can build on it, and gave kind of a funny answer to it. But I guess, yeah, like this is kind of his opportunity for him to show he can build on that, because he did produce in a minimal number of snaps. So he has to, I think, now going forward, prove that he's more mature than this one instance and actually get on the field to get more of those reps.
And Mary Kay mentioned those injuries. Myles Garrett not out of practice today with a neck injury. Joel Bitonio was on the bikes. He's dealing with a biceps injury, so we'll keep track of those and probably talk a little bit more about those in our preview video, also coming up on our Browns YouTube channel that you'll also be able to find at cleveland.com/Browns.